Hey, what's up guys? Skyler Thomas here. Today I wanted to do a tutorial on how to transport yourself like a wizard in Harry Potter to Apparate. It's a really fun effect. I used it a couple weeks ago when I was doing a little Harry Potter short. Had a lot of fun making it, and now I want to show you guys how to do it. So before we hop into After Effects, let's take a look at the finished product. Alright, so we're within After Effects. The only thing I've done so far is I took some edited footage and I made a composition out of it. You'll see that this edited footage really just has me in my apartment, filmed on a tripod, and I cut it up so that it looks like as I'm swinging the wand down, I disappear, then I pop back in a different spot, I swing the wand again, disappear, and pop back into a different spot. So you can shoot that however you really want. Just make sure you shoot it on a tripod and you try to make sure that the room looks as consistent as possible in terms of exposure and white balance. So don't set it to like auto white balance or auto exposure. Just set it on manual for all that and you should be good to go. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is take that footage and you want to duplicate it. Command or Control D. And then find the last frame before you disappear. So it's right there. And from here, you're going to take your pen tool and do a really quick rough mask around so that you get the colors of your clothing, your skin tone, because that's what we're going to manipulate to kind of create the effect. Doesn't have to be exact. Alright, that should do. Then you're going to right click on that, go to time and freeze frame. That's going to hold it in the same spot. And go ahead and hit Alt left bracket to kind of trim it up to that point. And from here, you're going to use the puppet pin tool and create different pins throughout the mask. This is going to let you manipulate it into a shape that you want to use. And from here, you're going to just go up a couple frames so that it animates over those couple of frames. And you're going to create that shape. You want to create a U shape. It's going to let the motion that it goes in kind of work the best. So just kind of finesse it until you have a nice U shape. I think that looks pretty good. You can see that it animates into that position. What I'm also going to do is after maybe three or four frames, I'm just going to hit Alt right bracket to kind of cut it off there so that it disappears at that point. Alright, so let's add a little feather. Hit F, go to about 10 pixels. And now you're going to add a directional blur. So go up to your effects and presets. I have a Video Copilot's FX console, which lets me just hit Control Spacebar. Add effects that way, it's a lot faster. So it's a free plugin if you want to Google Video Copilot FX console. Go ahead and do that. So directional blur, apply that, and bring it out so that it's about maybe 40. I think that looks pretty good. And from here, we're going to enable motion blur. It's this one right here. Just do a quick check on your composition. Go to composition settings and go to advanced. You want it to be about 180 degrees. That's the shutter speed that really mimics like real life motion blur. So go with that, or you can go higher if you want it to be even more motion blur, but I would recommend 180. Hit OK. And from here, we're going to make it a 3D object, and we're going to hit R to bring up our Z rotation, keyframe that, and over the course of the next, probably have it do 4 frames, we're going to have it go around once. So what you're going to see is that it Zooms around. One thing we should do is actually set the anchor point so that it's more centered. So go up here to the pan behind anchor point tool and set it to a more centered position to the overall mask. I think that looks good. So what we can do even further is duplicate this footage. Control D. Bring up the rotation. Kind of bring it into the middle, and then see if we can change the axis to make it look a little bit different. Like maybe a full-on kind of like circle effect. I think that looks pretty cool. We can even have it maybe move the opposite direction. So under the Z rotation, go to -1. See what that looks like. I like that. And maybe we'll do it one more time. Duplicate that footage, hit R to bring up the rotation, and see if we can make a third one kind of look I think that looks kind of cool. Maybe you can even mess with the scale a little bit if you want it to look a little smaller. Yeah. Perfect. And that's how we do it. Basically, you can duplicate that technique for each one. So you would, one more time, go to the point where you just appear. You'd want to duplicate your base footage. Bring that to the top. You can call that, maybe rename it to second transition. Change the color just to kind of help you. And from here, you do the same thing. Create a rough mask. Freeze frame. Go to time. Freeze frame. Alt left bracket to kind of give it a trim. And what you actually want to do, that's the only different part, is bring it back a couple of frames so that it animates into, it's probably like 3 frames, and it'll animate into you landing there. So alt right bracket to kind of cut it off there, and you'd go through the same technique. That's all you got to do. Let's do a quick fast forward and we'll see the finished product. Okay, so we've added our effects to all the transitions. It's just about done, but there's a couple things you can do to really enhance the effect. You'll see here that we have our transition into the second part, but there's no shadow or reflection, and we have that both when I pop back in, a reflection and a shadow. So we're going to want to do something about that to make it look that much better. And what we can do is take those clips that are attached to that effect and pre-compose them. Right click, pre-compose. We're going to call this second transition. Move all attributes into the new composition. Then we'll go back to that regular composition and we're going to duplicate it. Let's work with our bottom bottom composition there, and we're going to add a couple effects. We're going to do a brightness and contrast. We're really going to drop down the darkness, up the contrast, and we're going to move it just so it looks like it's a bit of a shadow over here. And from here, what we can do is add a Gaussian blur. Make that look really blurry. We're going to scale it down just a little bit. And we're going to drop the opacity a lot. Maybe down to like 25. So that it looks just like the other shadow. That looks pretty good. So these are the kind of things you can worry about if you really want to hone in on the details. But for the most part, this looks pretty good. I think we're just about done. I hope you guys got something out of this. It's a really fun effect to create. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want me to cover. I've got a couple other Harry Potter tutorials that I'm working on right now. please subscribe, like the video. I hope you get something out of this. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, peace.